Open up our work session for January 14th, 2020. Please silence, shut off your cell phones if you would, and join us in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, I screwed that one up. All the years I've been doing it. You're good.
Melanie, additions or deletions to the agenda?
Yeah, we have a deletion that I don't have on there. Terry Crawford wasn't able to make it today. She'll reschedule as she can, as time permits in her schedule. And then I have two additions. I have a SCOED update and a criminal justice and Lake County community justice agreement.
Okay, and I have, would like to, we received an email from Judge Reynolds, Pete Reynolds in Harney County about the trail, on the trail. I'd like to have a little discussion today on that and then continue that discussion on tomorrow, whenever Mark.
Okay. I'm sorry, I put that on yesterday, or tomorrow's edition.
Did you? I never looked at tomorrow. So, just being we got Darwin in here, I wanted to have a little discussion today. So, okay, with that said, we'll start right off and get Trace in and out of here, so. Did you see that? Thank God she doesn't have to put up with us right today. I think it's what she said.
No. I've got things to do, place to go,
Right.
we'll see.
All right, Trace, you have, the first is the Fifth Amendment, and then you have a Sixth Amendment to the OHA agreement. So, you want to give an overview real fast, or however long you want.
Just a few minutes, because this is, pretty easy. The First Amendment, or the Fifth Amendment, from the Oregon Health Authority involves $1,500, for 2019, 2020, and then additional $1,500 for 2020 and 2021. This is for the Aid and Assist program. And I'm thinking that this amount is due to we don't have very many Aid and Assists that come into our county. So that's what that is. It's an Aid and Assist program for those who have mental illness and do not have the capacity to defend themselves in court.
It's added revenue if used, if not, it would just roll back to the state.
I believe so, yes, I believe so.
Then we have the Sixth Amendment.
Yes, sir, we have the Sixth Amendment, which I was looking at the amounts, for 2019 and 2020 is $5,470.97. And for the following 2020, 2021 is $2,734.98. And this program is for peer support for our SUD program.
So that's, I'm reading here. Addiction treatment and problem gambling. What program is it specifically?
The SE 63 that you'll see on the side of the financial page,
And what is that?
that is peer support for alcohol and drug.
Okay, thank you. We will carry those forward for acceptance tomorrow. Any other questions or anything of Trace?
No, it's pretty straightforward.
Thank you. We appreciate it. These amendments come forward for you to come in and present them to us. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you. So, I'm sure Darwin would like to
Yeah.
get out of here, so we'll move to Darwin Council Planning Commission recommendations. These came in late last night. gruesome, but don't make that, we received some paperwork this morning from
Yeah.
just prior to the meeting.
So those are the two applications that I have received for the two vacant positions on the planning commission. I email polled our planning commission, and when I wasn't getting a response quickly, I called a couple that hadn't yet received that email. So unanimously, they voted to approve both of these applicants. Joe Villagrana, who would represent the Central Lake area as required by our bylaws. And then also Terry Crawford for Christmas Valley. Terry's had applied a couple different times for the planning commission. I don't know if it's just that we public participation on boards and stuff is hard to get sometimes, but thankfully she stepped again. I've been kind of not appointed before, so that position itself is a vacant position that would just serve out the rest of this year, and then obviously if she's enjoying it and everybody's comfortable there, we keep her on after that. But the employment recommendation is just for 1 year. Joe's is a full term this past January 1st. Other than that, with Allison Parks, we're all up in Christmas Valley. That's the two positions we would need there. And Central, we would still have Travis Way and now Joe, and then we have the three down here with Wes and Jim Walls and Ben Holden. So pretty excited to have a full quorum starting our meeting, which was Tuesday, a week from today, having a full quorum meeting. We are doing a training at 5. The meeting starts at 6, but we have 3.
Tonight,
Yeah, no, tomorrow. Sorry, next Tuesday.
next,
Yeah, and then so we'll have a training, and then we have 3 items on the planning commission topic.
do you have Mr. Bailey scheduled to be part of that training?
I don't, but I'll reach out to him today and see if you want to participate either by phone or whatever. It's not what I wanted to have right now. The weather, I think, is permitting DLC from making it over. It is the PowerPoint that I'm going to go over, which is prepared by DLC, John Jennings, and Scott Edelman, which some of the planning commissioners have had before. So we'll go over that again. Give them a simple rundown of our comprehensive plan. What's their most important thing is to read those packets of information that I give them. And then long range, then we can get into more of the comp plan and something that's updated.
So I, if available, just a short meeting with legal counsel prior to that with the planning commission to explain the public meeting laws and all the things that were legal part of it comes in, all that other legal, the PowerPoint, legal counsel doesn't need to be in, but I've wanted this for a lot of years and we've used it, is there's things that the planning commission is a decision-making board that they need to know the boundaries and parameters of the public meeting laws, the confidentiality and the different things that the legal counsel can reiterate. And if they go out of the scope of what their positions are, then it can be impactful to a lot of different people on either side, whether they're pro or against it.
So I'm glad Ginger walked in because I do want to give recognition and thanks to Ginger Castro, Justin Farrell, and also Jalen Sheffield, who all had served up until December on the planning commission and all have not seeked reappointment. It's been a complete turnover since I've been here over 9 years now, and right about 9 years, but so we've got a lot to do to try to keep that education and knowledge and people in the seats longer than just what we're kind of experienced. So,
Well, I think where you're starting out on the educational side, plus your board, you go through the educational side again, it really helps set what the duties of a planning commission is and the duties are not to get emotionally involved or whatever, it's to follow the laws and implement the laws, the facts and findings and all those things. And if you said very well, that you have to prepare for those meetings, your planning commission has to prepare for those and everything. So by setting the tone right off, having the educational side, having legal counsel be part of it, it sets the tone to have good planning commission decisions.
So the state offers like a regional training for new planning commission members, new planning staff even. I know some of our past planning commission members have done that. I don't think that anybody currently on the planning commission has actually been to one of those, but I will find out with the state when the next one is and where it's at, and
Absolutely.
make sure we get our people there and, we cover the cost to get there and back and meals and all that, but it's a tremendous thing that the state offers, and I know what I went to with Meredith Smith and Mike King when they were on the planning commission was in Redmond, so it wasn't too far, and it was a good training. Really good training.
Well, thank you. We'll act on those two positions tomorrow.
Yeah.
Did you have anything else? I have one thing for you.
Yeah, good. So, I mentioned the 3 files that are on the planning commission meeting for next Tuesday from tonight, and another solar project off of Webster Road on Christian property up there, and then a campground just west and south of Boyle Drive and Christian Valley Highway intersection there. And then also a water bottling facility operation. It's a home occupation, essentially business, right at the Anna Reservoir subdivision there off Carlin, and the first connecting street between Carlin and Lakeview Lane Mallard.
These are CUPs that are coming before the planning
Planning
commission.
commission, yeah, so I believe you guys have got some information from at least one member of the agency at the state level. I just remind the board, and I've said this outside of it, but the planning commission is the first body that reviews these, and it's important that we keep that separation until that time. So I've reminded the state that that's the case. I'm surprised that they kind of jumped the gun on getting you guys involved when you don't need to be involved. I give you updates, and that's completely appropriate, but for you guys to especially stuff that might be contentious, to start getting involved is not appropriate in my mind. I mean, it goes back to the public meeting law and when you formulate a decision and who gets all that information.
I'm not gonna speak for Jan, but I think you're gonna be in the same place as me. That's the appropriate process. And we don't even get involved unless there's an appeal for a state agency to jump past the process and go to the board of commissioners.
Yeah, and so it was hard when I had to respond to the state that way, but I needed to remind at least them that was the case. So that we, make sure that we keep things in mind. I appreciate, being that middleman to get the information you guys when you need it, and if you ever have questions on anything, you always can ask. That's completely appropriate, but yeah, it's to staff, not outside influences, and so that's why it's, I'm trying to remain
There's a
unbiased.
process in place for a reason.
Well, we've talked about this, and I think that there may have been a lack of understanding, bad communication, I don't know, some sort of breakdown at some point, and in one of our earlier meetings where we discussed wanting to stay involved with a current CUP that was on appeal
Yeah,
to us, and we wanted to be more involved
and that's
in the
100%
process.
appropriate. I remember sitting in here in that meeting because, on an appeal decision and on a condition of approval
Right,
that you guys have authority to,
but for every issue
Say
that
yes
comes
or no.
before the planning commission, I don't believe that it's.
So anyways, that's what I have. It'll be interesting if this meeting next Wednesday or Tuesday, because there is some opposition to at least one of those.
Okay.
We'll see. Maybe, with another appeal, apologize.
So I'm sort of hitting you cold on this, Darwin.
Sure, you're fine.
Haven't been able to get around, talk to you, and the Board of Commissioners hasn't had any discussion yet, but there's been a request reached out from Judge Reynolds in Harney County because the previous judge, Judge Grasty, came before them wanting to, the virtual trail that ONDA has put out there, wanting us to, as the 4 counties, Harney, Mount Airy, Deschutes, and Lake County, possibly to ask them to go through land use as they're pushing this trail forward. The previous Board of Commissioners had sent a letter that we are not in support of this trail connecting to any national trail and so on. We have previous letters and things. My question is, I'd like for you to check around a little bit about whenever they're talking about this virtual trail that goes across, I believe, private and going across roads and going across others. Is it or should it be, and can we make them go through land use planning?
Yeah, I believe, we've talked about this a number of times, so I'm not hitting it totally cold. But
Right.
it is a topic that we talked about a number of years ago, I want to say 4 or 5 years ago at least now, maybe even longer, but.
2014.
2014, yeah, so, yeah, that's about 6 years ago. And so, planning, well, the comprehensive plan does address it, and I have a folder on this very topic from past emails and correspondence, and reaching out to other planning directors in those counties, trying to come up with a unified kind of approach on how we'd like to deal with this. I remember at the time when Kestner, who was in the room, shared with me Article 24, or Ordinance 24, that talks about BLM and stuff like that too, and where the trail crosses some of that. There's some information in there that talks about that coordination that has to be, that needs to take place and stuff too. So, I'll relook at it and we can have a sit down and then we can draft something where I can pull what we can draft it before and see if this current board would like to.
Is there, maybe Commissioner Albertson in Salem today, will you have any further information for the 3 of us to have some dialogue with you tomorrow?
Yeah,
Like
I
said,
can definitely look at that today.
So I'd like to put that as an addition for tomorrow with all 3 commissioners.
Sounds good. Tomorrow.
You bet.
Yeah,
For
and then, one last thing that does remind me of one other thing I need to reach about tomorrow. So we have an appeal hearing scheduled for the 22nd, a week from tomorrow, on a campground, workforce housing kind of idea that Scott Mobley has, and we'll discuss that then, but by tomorrow, maybe Thursday morning, I'll have for you ready, this staff summary. It's really a staff memo that I put together. It's not really a staff report because you're reviewing an approved file, so what that memo is just gonna show is what extra stuff is coming in, any thoughts that I might have on the
Okay.
process. But it's really short, but what you'll wanna look at, and I'll give you all that information tomorrow, is just the decision that the planning commission made. Which
Yeah.
I've heard that the state will be there at the process, at the hearing. They didn't appeal, DLCD and ODFW did not appeal, even though both of them had kind of voiced some opposition to it, but we worked together during the 2 hearings that we held at Christmas Valley.
We'll accept the information, we'll have discussion at the hearing. We won't
Yeah,
get
for
into
sure, yeah, but in the meantime, between, I won't be available Thursday, I'll be in Bend, the doctor's appointment, but
Yeah.
Friday or.
You probably doesn't want these ones individually.
Yeah, and I would like to, just, just in case, kind of short here as well.
Sounds good.
Very
Anyway,
good.
that's it, so, see you with you guys tomorrow.
Thank you, Laura.
Thanks, Doug.
Back at.
Moving on down, Jake Greer, we have an addition to you.
You have an addition in that. I see retired Commissioner Kestner's here, so I'm going to blame him for my lack of punctuality. Although he doesn't know. Nevertheless.
My job.
Before the board is a contract with Oregon Criminal Justice Commission for our specialty court grant. Which helps in funding our trip records. The sum is $207,885,000 for the biennium. So, what that money goes towards is what Lipsing passed and approved a half-time PO at 24 months. OJD partner, which is Oregon Judicial Partner for data entry, in order to keep track of our daily happenings and what's going on and who our clients are in our treatment court. In cooperation with the Criminal Justice Commission, the Oregon Judicial Department created a specialty court management system. In order to have access to that, we have to have a judicial department partner. So our partner in that is Deanna Murphy. Deanna is our specialty court management system guru, so to speak. So she works with us on entering data.
So she works with you guys, but she's a state employee, so
That's correct. So
part of this grant funds.
we have an MOU with the judicial department to pay the invoices once every 3 months for that 3-month salary, and what it amounts to is 8 hours a week. So they invoice us, and then we also fund substance abuse counselor, so the CABC, to the tune of 434,321 hours over the 2-year period. We also have some labs for our urine samples and oral sample confirmations that's being funded. We also, for our treatment court folks that are in need of residential treatment, as we all know, we don't have public transportation from here to there. So we have medical transport through GoBee is not available. We have some retired folks that we bring in and pay hourly to transport our folks to treatment. What that does is reduce my costs on overhead on sending my staff, because generally, if it's a male, I can't just send one female with a male, and I can't send one male with a female, so we have to double up. So, but we're going through some changes on that, and I have to take a look at who we are hiring to do this and utilizing for this transport, because of the PERS rulings that PERS law changes that just went into effect.
Right.
So if it's a retired person from PERS, we still have to pay PERS on top of that. So that's gonna cost us more. So I gotta take a step back and look and see who we've been utilizing and who we can utilize.
You have to pay PERS on that person, but that person doesn't receive it. It goes to paying down the liability of PERS.
Absolutely.
So it's a cost to the county.
It's a cost, yeah. It's a cost to the county, but it's also a cost to my budget away.
Yeah.
So we're gonna take a look at that. And then there's a statewide specialty court training, which generally happens in the winter. So generally in February, but I don't believe it's happening. It happens on odd number years, so it'll happen in the winter of 21. And we have some money to send 8 people up there. Generally, the Criminal Justice Commission will pay for hotel rooms, but this is the per diem amount for, not the total amount. And then there's some administrative costs that we're able to recoup. So that's how our money's been awarded for the court. So I guess the recommendation I have is that the board allow me to sign this contract and send it back to the Criminal Justice Commission. It should have been done in September, and for whatever reason, I dropped the ball with Scott Barney. That's the grant that I put together for the budget, so that's the budget that I presented.
Got it. I'm just laughing at his signature.
Yeah.
Well, that's one of those, use your mouse and sign.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't have a touch screen, so I can't sign.
It didn't look like your signature. I was curious about that.
So,
Do you need action on this today or? Okay.
We can do it tomorrow.
okay, and legal counsel reviewed everything as always. So Jake, in essence, this grant here, not only from the state to, mental health to your department is it's 2+ employees that it keeps going.
Yes. And it's through the same commission, criminal justice commission as our justice reinvestment. However, justice reinvestment, is written in the statute. So we're allocated certain monies depending on how much money they allocate for justice reinvestment, depending on our allocation formula for general budget. Our grant and aid dollars from the state, that's how much we get. Treatment court dollars is an ask. The drug court program, that's an ask. We ask for so much. I believe our ask was about $253,000. We were awarded $207,000. I was part of the grant review, so I stepped out of the room for the special report. I stepped out of the room when they reviewed our grant. So I don't know. I mean, I know where they kept because I know what was presented.
Yeah.
But I don't know the conversations they had. But I can assume I know because I was there for the other 50 courts reviews as well. So it's a grueling process to review grants and award monies because there's only so much money to go around. And when you have some of the bigger counties requesting 11 million of a $14 million pot, it's kind of hard to say yes when everybody else needs to keep their courts full.
But I believe by percentage and success stories from our treatment courses, we're probably one of the best in the state, I believe.
I'd like to say that.
And I've been involved in different ways over the years. And then you look at through mental health, through the state up there, through our own office, the impact of having employees and for the whole circle to get completed through treatment court. Thank you for doing the work on this. And we need to make sure that we continue to be able to receive these dollars.
And that's my plan. I will continue to write and request money and advocate for Lake County. Because if I'm not doing it, we're not doing it. Nobody else is, because everybody else is worried about their own county, their own jobs.
Right.
So yes, I'm on the road a lot. I'm not just spinning my wheels and burning up the highway. I'm advocating for Lake County because again, if I'm not there advocating, I have people advocating for Lake County. Nobody else is. So,
Thank you. Thank you very
my
much.
pleasure.
We'll take action on that tomorrow. I'm sorry if you have other questions.
Nope, that's fine.
Okay. All right. We got a couple of minutes. Melanie, you want to go over your First Amendment to ODOT agreement? Get that one out of the way.
So as you guys know, I recently procured a small lightweight duty bus for ODOT. They gave me a range of what I could purchase, and so now that I purchased the vehicle, this is just amending the agreement for those specific
Okay.
seats, specific brand and make.
Routine work that comes with special transportation.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we'll carry that forward till tomorrow, unless there's other questions. With that, we're right on time. Eddie Riley's on at 9:30 for SCOED update to the Board of Commissioners.
Good morning, Happy New Year.
Good morning and Happy New Year to you.
So, I'm driving, my chauffeur, my husband brought me today, so it was,
Yeah, I was wondering what the roads, if you were gonna be here today.
well, a couple of weeks ago, we went down to Southern California and everything was clear up here. We ran into snow and like Grapevine was closed.
Really?
And my husband's going, we could have driven that, except no one else knows how to drive down there, so, anyway.
Yeah.
And so when I came back, I said, well, we need snow here, so I scheduled a trip over and guaranteed the snow. Every time I come, it snows this time of year, so.
We need the snow.
Well, first of all, just wanted to, there's about 3 things I wanted to cover and, partly.
Did Ginger need to come up?
You want me, Ginger probably
Yeah.
should join me up here too.
Take a good chair.
what I gave you is actually a draft, report that we received from as part of our Brownsfield grant in the first part of November. We had, Alyssa and, Ariane from Bridge Economic Development in the county, interviewing, stakeholders, talking to folks, kind of looking at the, Lake County from the perspective of where are our biggest opportunities to expand our economic base. This was commissioned as part of the funding that we received from the Brownsfield grant. And so what you have is a draft, and I know you really, don't have a chance to go through it now, but I wanted, if I could kind of point you to page 10, where they highlight what they feel are our first steps in Lake County as far as really focusing in on a step-by-step process for development. And there's no surprise here, but one of the things that they realized and one of the things that we know is that we need to work on the construction trades and really trying to focus in on identifying ways to have more capacity in this county, because highlighted in all of the discussion was the need for housing and also the need for trades, electricians and plumbers who can serve you in less than 6 to 9 months, which is where they're at now. So, as one of the focuses that I think that there is an opportunity, one of the things that we have discussed and would like to kind of further discuss with the community is finding a way to sponsor apprentice with your existing, you do have an electrician here still in the community who I think is willing to take on an additional apprentice, and also a plumbing firm. Did we find out from them if there's?
They've got a call, it takes a while for them to respond.
Seems like you found out what the problem is.
Yes, I have calls into all of them, but.
One of the things that we see is an opportunity, because I know that there are some youth, some high school students in the community who really are interested in going into the trades. If we could find some way of matching them as apprentices under your existing businesses, that could then potentially spur, it's not a long, it's more of a long term, it doesn't really take care of the major issue right now. But that, I think, is one step that we can look at here in this community to really try to encourage growing your own trades people and working potentially through an existing business that is already here and giving them more capacity in that way. The other things that are suggested is to just kind of look at what type of clustering of opportunities we might be able to put together and then market that as an opportunity to developers and to see if we could get somebody who could come over and work on a project that was maybe 1 or 2 different projects more than just individuals. So I think it is a focus that we can look at trying to really kind of fill that gap. We know and we've identified, the need for the workforce housing, very similar to what we've talked about in FSOA and through the regional solutions and everything else. So I think one of the focuses that they're suggesting is really trying to find a way to increase construction trades in the community. It's a need everywhere, but if there is some way we can work on that is kind of what they think our first step should be. Code enforcement came up at our discussion and trying to focus in the community on that was also one of the highlighted. Having broadband available for the opportunities for, one of the things that they point out in the report is the need not just to recruit business, but potential business owners, and individuals who can work in this community are looking for this kind of environment to come here and to expand our talent base is kind of what they're calling it. And so really a focus in not so much on recruiting businesses that are well established, but more the entrepreneur and the individuals who have maybe already a small business that they're interested in developing and really focus in at that. But at the same time, looking at the people who are here in the community already, who have business ideas and are maybe needing some assistance in helping to take that to the next level. So it's a small business development focus as much as it is kind of a recruitment process. It's a little different style of economic development. So I'm really, like I said, this is draft and I'm would love to kind of get feedback on this. One thing that we have acknowledged that needs to happen here is a daycare, a professional daycare center. That came up in their discussions also. And I believe, have an opportunity to work with ESD, who feels that they could staff a daycare facility if we could figure out where to construct one here in this community. And so that is one of the things that we need to be looking at. So, and then again, as I mentioned, the small business development, and the Brownsfield project itself, we're still waiting for the final, evaluation to come back from the lumber mills, both Paisley and the one here. They have not gotten all of the, final documentation on what the, redevelopment needs are for those two. But one of the things that did come up, and I think there is opportunity for it, is like small industrial spaces, not incubator as much as more, small condo type spaces that are newer, more energy efficient, perhaps similar, and I don't know if you've been to the South Park over in Klamath Falls that the Everlines used to own. It's a small, it's a industrial park in a way, but all of the facilities are kind of small, and so they're able to, a lot of startup businesses have been able to go in there and make it's a little bit of a maker space because a lot of they have a couple of companies who do fabrication and that type of work, and that it's the type of space that they find very appealing, and it is something I think that would be very well received here in this community too, to really kind of have more of the opportunities for that side, not large industrial, but kind of small industrial, like, bays that are that could be constructed. And along with that, maybe a little bit of mixed use with new housing available also. So I'm giving this information to you now. I'm hoping that what we can do is put a committee together or continue, looking at the opportunities and ways that we can move it forward. But I wanna make sure you have a copy of this now, and if there's any questions I can answer now, but just, have it for your review and to look at. And I'll make sure that Mark gets a copy of it also.
Excellent, I think we really appreciate that.
And
So I listening and reviewing as fast as I can
Yeah.
here, Betty. It seems to be a little weak on representation of North Lake County.
well, there was not a whole lot of input that we received. We reached out to the ranching community and we did not get them to the meetings, and we recognized that that was a weakness, but I think timing, I don't understand exactly what we needed to do to maybe have more representation, but we have Ginger and the chamber and also myself on a phone call have met with over 26 businesses up in Christmas Valley
Ford Family Foundation.
with the Ford Family Foundation.
Yeah, talk a little about that.
And that was actually quite a good meeting that was held and will be followed. I've had 2 inquiries on loan and financing assistance from a result of that meeting. And so there's several things that are going on up there with their outdoor recreation type of their racetrack and their Nerf
Oh,
range.
yeah.
That are very unique and I see very, good opportunities for that part of the county. So this report did not highlight that, but what we found when we were up there, and Ginger can talk some more, but I think one of the thoughts we've had, financing is challenging when you send out the information, and the first thing that we ask for is tax returns. And one of the things that happens quite often is there are people who haven't been filing business tax returns. And so we're trying to figure a way, without insulting anyone, of maybe providing a service that could help them get to the point where they could become eligible to finance their businesses by giving them some, free one-on-one consulting,
Like accounting.
like accounting services and or tax
Actually,
preparation.
really good on the north end, I think.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about.
But what we're narrowing down on is trying to figure out those little barriers, and that I think
Yeah.
is one that was like an aha moment, going, yeah. When you tell them they have to give you tax returns to apply for a loan and they don't have them, then that is a barrier that they have.
Well, if it's a barrier, are they a legitimate business if they're not following?
And that may be the steps that they have to take now to really become more of a legitimate business,
Yeah.
yes, exactly.
And so if you're investing, if you're running a business, you want that stuff to represent well, so you can get a loan, or if you want to get rid of your business at some time.
Yeah, that's right.
It shows that. Several things in here, I think, bleed over that have the same synergies or the same issues with North Lake, almost on all of these. So in this is draft form, I don't know if this company's probably done with their part of it.
We have a call with them on Thursday to talk to them about.
The childcare, the daycare,
Mhm.
the startup small, several of these, they have exactly the same issues in North Lake as
And we have
Paisley and
those
Lakeview
discussions.
had, so
Yeah.
I think there could be some addition to this.
Yeah, and
So that where it says Lake County, Oregon Development Demand Analysis,
Mhm.
it's more inclusive, and then if there is grants that become available and everything, we have it in here so
Right.
that you
Right.
can check that box on the grant is you're
Right.
part of the analysis, so that'd be
okay,
my recommendation is to just
Yeah.
look at some of that.
Well, when Jessica and Jessica Bogartis and Katie Jamison from Ford Family Foundation, because we also invited, that group sort of also has some folks that represent nonprofit organizations up there too. So when we went, we were really heartened because there were, probably 28 people at the meeting. And they asked really good questions, and we spent time afterwards. We made ourselves available to speak with people individually. And there was a lot of interest in learning more about small business practices and accounting issues and those sorts of things. A lot of a desire to, some of them have dabbled long enough to know that they can be successful. And they've gone from, just sort of having a corner in their house to, getting more traction and desire to, move forward. So that was really good. We have had conversations with the Small Business Development Center through KCC. They're very interested in going and doing their small business classes and being available, to do some counseling and to help with that. So we've been working with them. I think they're gonna be having a class there this spring. It was surprising to me that many people came together. They organized themselves, they've got a group, they're really, they're serious. So I think it's great for us to be able to provide what they're asking for, and we'll just continue to do that. We're gonna, Jessica and Katie and I are gonna try to be there again in February, the end of February, 1st of March, to do a follow-up with them. And I think it's I think it's something that has a lot of potential for those that want to, increase their business acumen up there, so.
Along those same lines, I haven't had a follow-up conversation, but through the regional solutions team, we met with Kingsley Field, and there is still some opportunities for the backscatter site to become more of a training center for the, what the mission that they have out of Kingsley. And they're still working on what those pieces look like. And one of the things I wanna have is it's a follow-up meeting with, I don't remember how to spell his last name, but his name goes by Axe. You may have met him.
Actually, accused,
Yes, and he is still very much wanting to engage in some of the things that and follow up with us on some of the things that they're looking at doing here in Lake County. One of the things they are shifting to is instead of when they're doing their overflights and their training things here, is to more virtual game type of training simulators, which would require some I think it's more like small satellite type of things that and so they've been working with BLM places they could put those satellites to be able to have
wouldn't it be ironic if the site goes back to backscatter?
to it, I know, and
After
that
all the
was
work we did on
exactly
that.
the Michael, I'm going, geez, we just made this crazy huge circle. But my thinking when he's talking about this is I'm going, okay, so we're gonna need services in Christmas Valley. They're going to need more places to eat, more places to stay, because they'll be bringing in folks into the community, more places to buy gas. I mean, there are things that it's not gonna be a real critical mass, but I think there are going to be some expansion opportunities for up there.
If you go back to the nineties, early nineties, whenever the backscatter site was happening up there, you nailed it exactly what
Right.
happened, the restaurants and other places. It was very busy,
So I'm trying to set that meeting up, a follow-up meeting, of course, working with,
I didn't know
military.
Axe was still over there.
yes, he is, I think he's one of the ones that he's probably very close to the 20-year retirement stage.
Has to be because
But he is still very committed to working with stuff, and they all were very engaging, and one of the things that was recognized at the meeting is the importance of the airspace that they have, which is basically this eastern Oregon space, and the opportunities that present itself because of that, but also potential conflicts with wind and solar and things like that they're trying to develop kind of some criteria around also, so that was one part of the discussion.
whenever we worked on that for so many years and everything, part of it was the impact to the community there. The airport gets
Right.
a small amount of impact and different things. If they would go to another level there, it'd be the Oregon Guard
Right.
would help that community quite a bit.
Yes, and I think that it may not be short-term again, but it may be a long-term opportunity that we need to look at infrastructure for, and we need to look at, ways we can make sure the community is engaged in the discussion of this.
So it would be real important to get BLM
Yes.
involved right away, especially with some different things that BLM is proposing and doing as far as like wilderness characteristics and different things.
Yeah.
And so I know that over the years we've worked on some different training thoughts there, and the Oregon Guard sort of takes it and we get pushed to the side, but it's an opportunity to get back into that.
I think it still is on on the radar screen, I guess is the terminology. It's still being discussed, and it just, implementation sometimes takes a while, especially when you're working within that military arena. It doesn't always happen fast.
Presence of the Oregon Guard in Christmas Valley is huge.
Yeah,
So
I think definitely we'd like to get Parks and Rec involved at some point. because
Sure.
I think that they play a big part over there.
yes, I recognize that they are one of the kind of semi-governmental
It's really, yeah, it's made, their main
It is.
central.
It is it.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, no, definitely, you know, working with them, making sure they have the capacity to move forward when we have opportunities, yes. That is definitely on the list of things that we're doing and working on.
I have one other thing,
Mhm.
here, I think it needs to be added. You have code enforcement here, we're all aware there's several other things, but it needs to be code enforcement / nuisance enforcement.
Right.
Because code enforcement through our building department, there's codes and things and that, but.
I was actually thinking to myself that we need to kind of, one of the other report that has come out that is going to take a while to absorb is about 247 pages of photos linked to information on blighted or underutilized parcels in the county. And it is everything from New Pine Creek to Christmas Valley. And we would love, I would like to get a team of folks or a committee together to, we can put it up on a screen and go through it, but I don't know where to start with it. It's overwhelming.
Commissioner Albertson started
Yeah.
Does he have one?
So what we've done is, we had a committee and we redone our nuisance,
Right,
and then we hired somebody in the county's fault and back down to, we have somebody in that office, but not a full-time nuisance
Right.
person. Commissioner Albertson has pulled together a committee to relook at our ordinance
okay.
and relook at, and I don't know if there'll be a
He'll
proposal
be
for
happy with this.
He will,
full-time or
this-
not.
it's like
It
you're,
is a book.
it is a huge, but it's a lot of information. It is in the GIS form, so you can actually go and link to the actual owner of properties, and it has information I think that will be valuable to you in your work.
So our building department, where our nuisance resides,
Yes.
nuisance enforcement resides,
Needs to be.
needs,
They need it all.
Yes,
and
and
the
I
other
can, we
thing,
can send the link to him now, actually.
that would be great, and I would like to be linked in on that, I'm sure
You'll,
all,
you'll
both other
love it.
commissioners.
It was like,
just hot off the press.
it was
No,
like,
that's fine.
we were on a phone call when it came through, and it took 45 minutes to download all the information.
Well, it's not unique to Lake County,
Mhm.
you know, and we all know that there needs to be enforcement and everything. When the planning directors met here 2 years ago or whatever, that was one of their biggest discussions at their retreat, was every
Yeah.
planning director has the same struggles along with the
Yes.
nuisance enforcement
Yeah,
side of it.
it is true everywhere. This is gonna be an amazing tool for everyone to use. It's not
Excellent.
easy to find, something this comprehensive and it's really gonna be helpful.
And who put this together?
It was the Cardinal,
The
our
Cardinal.
consultant that we're working with on the Brownsfield. He had staff come down from Portland, GIS staff, who spent 3-4 days
Yeah, 4 days.
with their camera and just going for every community. They even went to Adele and Plush. There are photos in there.
They had a meeting here, correct, that one night.
They did. We had dinners together actually at one.
That whole week, there were people here doing various different things for the project.
So I really, we're paying a lot of money to Cardinal, but they're being very responsive in trying to give us tools to be able to not just analyze the contamination, but to look at, okay, now we know what can we do to improve these properties and to have, what opportunities can we identify where we can maybe take a cluster of rundown something and
Yeah.
turn it into something very, very useful.
I think it'll be a very good tool, and especially as Mark's put together this committee.
Mhm.
Yeah, and it's timing is good because we haven't funded that full-time position in there. And the position's only one part of the funding. I mean,
Yes.
whenever you go to cleaning up places, it takes a lot of money and a lot
That
of
is-
legal work.
That is another side of things. Through the nonprofit, I am working with the city of Klamath Falls on receivership of properties and trying to figure out tools that we can use for, the city of Klamath Falls. They have actually been enforcing their, flowing property, and sending letters out. And they do have properties that are getting cleaned up, you know, but they anticipate some that they will take and go through the court system. There is a law in Oregon that allows them to go through the court system, clean them up, and then put them back onto the tax rolls.
You know, we have some of those success stories also by getting hold of the landowner and sort of doing it with a soft hand instead of government coming right in and demanding it. We've had some success that way. We've also seen some of those successes go back to the way they were after a short time, but yeah, that's a huge one, so.
So, changing subjects, any input you think of after the fact, let me know. Thursday morning, we're talking to them because we're giving them more input into this land.
This Thursday.
Yes, this Thursday.
So, yeah, so if you've got anything else, if you have a chance to look at this between now and then, just let us know. Let me know.
Yeah.
We can
Yeah.
Add that to the
Yeah, because mine was just
conversation.
reviewing while you were talking.
No, I understand that, we just got it,
Yeah.
the end of last week or such, and so I wanted to make sure that you saw it as soon as we did. And I'm also gonna be sharing it with the town, and so that they have the information also. The second thing that we've been, our Ginger and Larry Holzgang actually, have been working on at the request of one of your businesses here in the community is expansion of the water to the north industrial sites. And Ginger and Larry have met a couple of times with Anderson Engineering and did get some information from the assessor related to, you know, the parcels and what might be involved, because if water is provided to those, they would then, I assume, be annexed.
Yeah, they have to.
The property would have to be annexed into the town itself. So that's a process. They identified the steps. They got a soft cost on what it would cost to take the waters to, and the primary business is Pacific Pine, but there's also Stobbs, who does not have good wells at their filling station on that end of town. Also the
You mean the Stobbs station down?
Shell
station.
Shell station, okay.
The garage, their Max's garage that's up there also, the USDA offices do not have drinking water available, they have to bring it in for their own use. In Pacific Pine, the only one that probably is not as needing of that water is Cornerstone, because they have their own private well, it is functioning well. But even Anderson Engineering has a well that they have to so it's substandard. So I think the cost, what we're trying to develop is a possibility of adding that onto the other activity that will be happening through the town on the water improvements that are being done. And so to make this part of that project itself. So that is something that will allow Pacific Pine to then have less cost insurance-wise, because they need to have sprinkler systems for them, which they don't have capacity to do now. And so there are lots of benefits to the industrial users on that end of town. So that's something we're continuing to work on. I just wanted to let you know that we're doing that and working on towards the infrastructure improvements.
You're not getting all the way to Hunter's Hot Springs.
No,
Not quite.
Yeah, no, I think that's just a little beyond.
Yeah, I think it will impact some of the residences there, you know, in the area too, it could. You know, it's just in the beginning stages of conversation, but it would benefit, the ones that Betty was, talking about tremendously. Pacific Pine and Staub, most especially, are really excited about the thought of getting that taken care of for them. It means a lot to them.
No expert, but generally if the infrastructure's put in, and then if people hook up, there's irrevocable consent annexation at that time.
Yeah, and we,
Yeah.
that was exactly what we presented to them, and showed them, actually, the assessor put together a nice spreadsheet that would show what the increases would be, so that we gave that information and shared that information. So far they haven't told us to go anywhere, so.
Well, there's a couple of them that are asking for, why can't the county or the town pay for this, but that's normal conversation.
And so, the final thing I wanted to share with you is, that Ginger is going to be leaving her position with SCOED, still working in your community through, funding that the Lakeview Community Partnership has received, but they have asked her to take on that role full-time. So you will have her working here within Lakeview in this community, but the position at SCOED will need to be refilled, or I will need additional staffing and anticipate hiring a business development person who can work, through SCOED.
What's the timeline for that?
February 1st.
She will be, we have had discussions about her continuing to contract for the Brownsfield work, because that is, another year, I think, of work that we have and funding available to do that. But having her here in the county, she's given her notice as of the first.
It's a surprise, I haven't heard any of that yet, so, congratulations, is that the direction you want to go?
Yes, hopeful. I can probably make a mountain out of a molehill with anything that I do, but hopefully it's going to be a little slower pace than what I've had. So that's a lot of the impetus for it. I'm old enough to slow down.
So on the SCOED side of it, then,
Right, then we
we need to look at the.
Right, and I was
the
hoping
direction.
to have some discussion with Mark. I need to meet with the executive committee, but I wanted to officially notify you as the county, because that position has been essential to, work that we do here. But I do not anticipate not having somebody. It may not, I just need to really evaluate how I can fill. I have a need in the two-county area to really have someone who's more on the ground with the business development side of things, which really came out in this report, and helping with the loans and things like that. So I may be able to find a person that can complement the work that Ginger will still be doing, in the immediate Lakeview area, and cover, the North County a little more and be out, out in the zone network. I will have discussions with SCOED board, before we fill the position, but I just wanted to give you that heads up.
You have a contractual agreement with the Board of Commissioners
Mhm.
here on the position. So
Right.
we as the board need to take a look at
Yes.
the structure, the direction that we would like to see economic development go also at the same time.
Right. I have not, like I said,
This is a great starting point for
It
that
is.
too, for us to kind of really start thinking
and
about
I
this.
think, that we've done some really good ground laying of work, of things that are happening right now. We need to, and I want to have kind of a brainstorm of what the next steps would look like, and how that position, how you are served, because that's important.
What is economic development in Lake County? And that's what this board needs to work on.
Right.
Let's go ahead and see,
There's more that will roll out of the Brownfields project as it continues. And hopefully, at the end of this particular grant period, which I can't do the math right now, but we've got another probably 18 months or a little bit more than that to go. It won't be the end of it. It's really laying the groundwork for more opportunity to bring more services and more assistance in for the next steps. Because this is just really the beginning part, the phase 1 and phase 2 and all the other work that's come along with it. That's been really, it's gonna be really helpful. There's definitely puts us in line for more work. we become very attractive when we've got this kind of information. And if we, in using it wisely to plan and go forward, so I think there's a lot of opportunity. I didn't ever see this as a 3-year project, I saw it more as a 10 to 15-year project, because a lot of these things that are coming to light, it really takes time. It takes a lot of time and thoughtful planning, so hopefully it's not the end.
I did attend the Brownsville conference in LA in December, and there was all over.
Was that all of Brownsville down there?
It's all around down there, yes. Actually, they're doing a lot of work down there, but it is the
It's
Brownsville.
only YouTube, don't worry about it, it's good.
But part of, it was inspirational, and also it was useful because I did talk, the state, has a Brownsville program also, and they are also gonna be working with us on some of the redevelopment opportunities that we see as they come up, so there is things, but again, I wanted to be here and give you notice, basically so that you were aware of the transition that will be.
Well, I know where your real passion and what you've been working on, Ginger, so you're able to fulfill and continue on with that, and I know how much you appreciate the theater, all the things that you worked on,
Yeah, the
so,
downtown
good,
and all, yeah. Well,
good for you.
all of it, but this'll be a little more focus and, there's still things that we will work together on. I mean, it's,
Oh,
I
absolutely.
can, especially, we are trying really hard to not call this the blighted property project.
It's
We
the
have
developmental opportunity.
Yeah, development opportunities project, so, we'll still
That's
be pretty involved
salesmanship
with
right
that.
there.
Pardon?
That's salesmanship right there.
Yeah, exactly, I know, well, that's kind of how that project goes.
Well, anytime you're in a community such as the county, as Lake County, where your industrial is around the sawmills and everything, you're gonna have a certain amount of, when those go away,
Oh, absolutely.
brownfield type things along with some of the ancillary things that associate with that and everything, so. Yeah, we're, like you say, it's more of an opportunity. Yeah,
Sure
you
is,
find the solution, we know we have some problems, but let's find the solution.
So, I will, let you absorb this and get back to you with kind of what I think the next steps should be. I need to meet with the executive committee but also have your input before I do that.
Yeah, because of, we're partial funding of the position,
Right.
and I believe there's some USDA dollars that.
The USDA dollars basically have been used, that grant's been closed out, the portion of the Brownsville has been, and the preservation grant, the housing side of things. Ginger has done some outreach for us on that, but we are at the stage now where Pam will pick up that program. We do have 16 to 18 people on the list now that we're going through and trying to figure out how many we can help assist.
So just on the position, the molding of the dollars to
Right.
fund the position, just what I heard there is some of those dollars. may have been-
40% of what has been, 40% has been paid by the county, the rest has been either EDA, grant dollars or other things.
So we'll want to know how you're looking at that through this.
Right.
In fact, we might consider, Commissioner, putting this on the agenda tomorrow for discussion. If Commissioner Alberson's present, we can actually start this conversation tomorrow. No decision or anything, but
That way,
Good idea.
or we can have a discussion as we
just put it
receive
on
this.
as an addition tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gives us a little bit of time to review this
Right.
as well.
No, I understand that was my intent to be here today, so this was as soon as I could get here, I
Thank you.
and yeah, just I also will be needing to figure out a succession plan, you know that, because yeah. My husband turned 70 yesterday and
Just based
I'm behind him about a year and a half, so I do not anticipate like Ginger working after I'm 70.
So we kind of have I kind of, what do I wanna say, sort of pulled the elder card for
Yes,
Betty
you did.
years. Older than she is. So,
Well, I think we had this conversation once before, even where you were kind of
yeah,
hinting at that.
how do we do it? Well, we sort of.
I'm trying to figure out, I would love to have the board actually help with the planning for that next step. And, I know how busy everyone is, but I think SCOAD executive committee and or a committee appointed by the board needs to help me, with my succession.
Well, I think, and we're talking more to the SCOAD board right now, probably.
Yes, we are.
But I guess, we do have Mark sits on the executive board, but I think the executive board, and whenever you sit down with them, I think that's very important. Been through some of the hiring, whenever you were hired and so on. Things look a little bit different, things are different at SCOAD now, and
Well,
so.
In the last 2 weeks, if all of the money comes through that I have talked to people about, we have got even more projects on the books that I'm gonna have to stay around a while to get them implemented. You know, but it is, there are opportunities out there, they're different than some in the past. So,
And we sort of made a pact that we wouldn't leave at the same time.
Okay.
All right.
So
Thank you.
you're pulling a fast one, basically.
And I am absolutely amazed that you did not hear before this.
Well, I don't know about.
No, I did not hear anything.
Okay, well, we were trying to be appropriate. Thank you.
All right, well, thank you very much.
Thanks.
And
We had to offer Ginger a job before she could announce otherwise.
Okay, so, Kevin, why don't you come up and we'll get you out of here. I think you're relatively fast.
You got a few more.
Good morning.
So,
Hopefully in front of you is is an estimate sheet, and then also attached should have been a service information system sheet that shows that.
the capital budget.
So this bucket might have a little bit of information to share with you guys on kind of why we wanna go this direction. This bucket is $12,828.67. If you look on this Peterson CAT quote, which is single source, there is two estimates on there for standard duty and heavy duty cutting edges. We're not acquiring those cutting edges for this bucket. Caterpillar had a rebate special prior to the end of the calendar year that we were able to utilize, and we're able to get tools, teeth, and all of the components to add to this bucket at about a third of the cost. We bought those as parts prior to the rebate program, and they would bolt directly onto this bucket. It will allow us to have a tooth bucket, a ground digging bucket, to work in some of these pits that are becoming more available to us now that we can use this inline crusher and process material a little bit cheaper than paying somebody else to do it.
Okay.
This bucket is for the 966H, which is our newest, biggest loader.
Okay. It's sole source, but you already have all this stuff apparently.
Well, it's
Which is good.
model and serial number specific to, it's a
Correct.
size bucket for that machine. They hold all of our detail for counterweight and wheel weight, things of that nature. So this bucket is sized for what you would consider to be the maximum efficient bucket for the application that we're wanting to use, so 5 1/4 yard bucket.
So, this bucket is the one that's on there, but
The one that's on there is just a smooth cutting edge that we use for clean material, not big stuff, not riprap, not dirt, not digging into the bank. This bucket, we're going to bolt on tool adapters, which are teeth.
okay,
It's more like a spade front bucket, that will allow us.
You already have those.
Well, we have them for a smaller machine, but the machine that we have that for is the same machine that we push the inline crusher with, and those buckets are not interchangeable.
this didn't show the teeth as the reason why.
No, the tools, that's why I said the tools, we got an incredible rebate prior to the end of the calendar year on tools. And actually, we can put those tools on the smaller G bucket as well. It's a pattern, and so we can apply them to that, but this is gonna open up a lot of things, and then, after I have I've met with some different landowners of pits that we haven't used for a little while, that this is gonna lead into and allow us to acquire some better material for some of our gravel road overlays at a cheaper cost.
I have absolutely no problem, it's over. So we can act on it tomorrow.
Okay.
Perfect.
And then if you have, just a couple minutes, I just wanted to touch base on a few things. So leading into why we need, this purchase, and also, several of the pits that we've used in the past, the county, I should say, have used in the past to have crushing contracts out of, they have veins of material that can be worked, not with, maybe dynamite, we might not have to shoot them first. And so some of the landowners have agreed to, allow us the use of that material bank run, and we'll process it there with the grizzly and, to probably 6 or 8 inch minus material, and then apply it to gravel roads within, reasonable hauling distance to, once we're reconditioning these roads, we're finding that, in some cases, we'd like to put a little material on. Bought material, as you guys know, is very expensive. But this material here that we can mine ourselves and apply it on the road is at a cheaper cost. To include, a vein out of Harold's, Miles's pit, some out of, possibility out of Shumley's, and in talking with Dennis and Palm Lane to be able to mine some out of that gravel pit and process some better material. And also, we'll see what happens with the check, but I made an agreement with New Sun Solar for $40,000 to apply towards this aggregate production. Pit run material or material of our choice to apply to the roads that were specifically, I wanna say destroyed, but that's maybe too strong of a road, a word.
Impacted.
Strongly impacted negatively by solar development, Conley Lane, Pitcher Lane, and some of Webster. So, was able to work with them and negotiate some dollars and cents that made sense for those folks to, for lack of a better term, donate to the process of reconditioning those roads. So that is most likely to use out of a local source there. But as you guys know, there is no dollars that come from solar development to support that road department. So this is actually a very good thing that they were willing to do.
And they just did this on their own.
Well-
Basically, Jake Stevens approached you.
Jake Stevens and Brent Beverly, and had some help from constituents in the area that don't let things drop.
Copy. So,
But a very good thing for us to be able to have some dollars here for material that we can recondition, I guess is the best word I can find for some of those gravel roads.
well, and some of those roads were not to county standards on the infrastructure side, so that a lot of the trucks were definitely in a big impact. The just procedural, whenever we get money that goes towards roads like that, and it has to come through, and then it's put in, it's unanticipated revenue, Do we have to do anything out of the ordinary, or can it just come in and go to a line item? What's the appropriate way?
They'll bring it in as income, and like you said, either material and service fee or a donation. I think his budget's going to be able to support the rock purchase or creation that they do through that, so we'll watch that though. If it requires a resolution, we'll do that. I don't think at this time that it will.
Okay.
Legal counsel didn't believe that it needed.
Yeah, we were talking about that.
Legal counsel usually doesn't do our budget for us, so.
Yeah.
So, just a couple comments on that. It's great that we didn't have money. I still encourage on any solar development that's going before the planning commission, or you as the roadmaster to be at those meetings. When they go through that conditional use item, that's when you can put conditions onto the development. That's whenever you can ask for, this is gonna be an impact on county roads. And one of the conditions would be is if there is impact, that this developer is responsible for that. So I think that's the, probably missed Kevin over the years as these developments start coming here, is being at the table during that conditional use application. And, that's whenever, a lot of times developers, as they're asking for that conditional use approval, are very, very willing to look at the impact it's going to have within our community. And that's where you can ask the planning commission to put a condition on that the roads either be watered, dust abatement, or there's going to be a need for gravel and different things like that. You as the road official, roadmaster, have the expertise at that point to be able to request those type of things. And I don't, it's not asking over the top, it's just, there is an impact. It doesn't matter if it's a solar development, a wind development, or it's the development when they're asking for conditional use, even like Red Rock or whatever. I think that that's one of the places that Lake County wasn't used to a lot of development happening, and we haven't been at the table some of the times as you as the road official. And so I encourage that side of it.
And if they go through the planning commission, they're not for us.
Right.
So we don't even get to review.
So, I think that would save you some headache on this. So, would encourage that. You have anything else?
Just those couple updates.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Are you gonna be available a little bit? And if you need to head back to work, that's fine, I'll touch base with you later.
You can give me a call when you're at.
Okay, sounds good, thanks.
What else is next?
Both of you, thank you.
Thank you.
Then we have Sheree next.
I'll sit with
Should
you.
we take? No. We have Sheree, with the VOCA CFA agreement. Welcome, Sheree. This
Thank
is your first time before the Board of Commissioners.
It is, yes.
All right.
It's not always
You
that.
guys are pretty scary up there.
Don't worry about us. We're the easy. Let's go ahead and give an overview. We did have some overviews prior to you coming on, so.
Yeah, so I understand that Caitlin Roberts presented the budget to you guys, went over all that with you previously. So I guess what I'm looking for today is we need to have the agreement signed, so that I can submit to the state that it's all ready to go and be approved. I know it's been a while since you went over that, so if you have any questions for me, I'll try to answer the rest of them.
You know, Sheree, I really don't, other than, I'm trying to remember, looking here, that this grant, this is 2-year grant,
Yeah, it's fine.
and we're right in the middle of it right now.
We're in the first quarter, we just ended the first quarter.
So it,
This is a federal cycle.
Federal
and So
cycle,
it started
okay,
October first.
that clarifies it right there. But I was in the state world of the planning, so, okay. So
The biggest thing that I just want to refresh your memory is that VOCA increased their dollars from any previous ones. So we're at an increase of $111,000, over $111,000.
increase this budget. So trying to figure out how to spend those dollars within their parameters has been a challenge.
Remember in our budget process, it was kind of we added the income, had to go back and increase some salary category in the VA's department because of that significant increase in FOCA dollars. But it is very specific to the Victims of Crime Act. It has to be victim services, not prosecution. And so that's why it's pretty, hard and fast rules on how they can be spent. There's some creative ideas we're just still looking for.
Okay.
So with that said, the increase of the dollars and everything, what within viable for increasing it, if we don't spend that amount, it goes back. It doesn't jeopardize the.
No, and they've explained that they understand that this is an enormous increase and that counties are gonna have a difficult time probably at first figuring out how to allocate those funds within the parameters. And so they said that they don't foresee taking it away if we don't spend it, like it won't be available. Like if we don't spend it, we lose it and they're never gonna give us an increase
Oh,
again.
okay.
I don't think that they don't foresee that
But it
happening.
would roll back into the program, but doesn't necessarily mean that we lose out on the opportunity.
Yes,
So-
we don't lose out on the opportunity, that's a good way to put it.
So his indication is that the raise in dollars will continue on, or is this a one-time shot? Are they indicating, because once you establish
Mhm.
to build programs or capacity, and then if the funding goes down, then we lose
Yeah.
programs or.
Well, that's what they're saying, that they are not anticipating giving us this bump up and then taking it away 2 years from now. They anticipate that the dollars are gonna stay up there at this level.
So what a great opportunity to make sure, specific to this, that we're able to have
Yes,
the right programs, right capacity.
yes, but cautiously, because if they do pull it, then we don't wanna just,
Yeah, they don't
Pull the rug
anticipate
out.
pulling it, but it wouldn't be
But
the
it
first
could-
time the
yeah.
federal government
Absolutely.
anticipated things incorrectly.
Yeah.
Or the state or the county.
yeah.
It's true, it's true.
So, I really appreciate your words cautiously.
Yeah,
I appreciate that very much. And
using those dollars impacts the county as well because of the match dollars that we have to
Correct.
come up with. And so, anything that we decide to do is gonna be, a conversation to be had with everybody.
The criminal fine account matches and always has in the past, but now because the VOCA dollars increased so much, there's not enough criminal fine account money to make that match. So the county has a little bit of skin in this game in salary and benefits. Depending on how we,
Are we able to match this increase that has taken place, or are we only matching what we actually spend?
well, it is a reimbursable grant, so yes, we match what we spend. I'm gonna take you back a little bit. One of the ideas that Caitlin and Sheree had with these additional dollars was actual counseling services with our wellness center. And they would have provided the match for that service. That's not going to work the way we'd anticipated
It didn't
following
fit in
Jake's model.
Yeah.
And so now we're trying to come up with some other ideas, and there's a few, but of how, we can use these resources.
Just to let you know, this time last year, we were serving 56 victims in the advocacy program and we're at 99 in this first quarter. So, spending the money to hire me full-time was a good investment.
Well, my mind goes all kinds of places with those numbers
Mhm.
coming out, that several years ago, I predicted that we'd have quite an impact in these communities as the state decided we could take care of people in our communities, add more beds in existing prisons, and we can take care of people in our own communities through adult corrections, so on and so on. I've always said that we're going to see an impact to our communities
Mhm.
and this is just another
Yeah.
indicator to me is that by not sending people as many to prison and double stacking our prisons prisons has an impact locally, and the state does not fund, there's no money goes toward the jails, to our hospitals, to our sheriff's site and all this, goes to adult corrections and mental health and a few other things. But there's impacts all the way through, and at least we have the federal dollars to help some of this impact. And I'm on my bandwagon, but whenever you're double what you were, why?
Yeah.
Why? What's happening in our communities that we double up on victims in that amount of time? And which part of all this over here that's inside my mind is causing these things to all escalate up on numbers, although on adult correction side, felony probation has went down a little bit, so anyways.
Yeah,
My mind's just
I
working,
know,
I'm sorry.
and part of that increase, I believe was having a deputy district attorney upstairs for, at that time period. You know, there was double the prosecution work happening, and so cases were being filed that were backlogged from previous DAs, and that kind of thing. So we may see, you know, that
It's just
level
spike.
out some,
It's spike.
without a deputy upstairs, but, you know, it's definitely, a big increase in the workload with 99 victims and, across the county that you're working with.
Other questions?
Nope, I'm fine with this. It's perfect.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You don't have to come tomorrow, I don't believe there's any reason to come tomorrow.
Is that when it gets signed, is tomorrow?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
tomorrow. Do you need it signed earlier?
No.
Okay, good.
I have till the end of the month to finish all the reporting and stuff for the quarter.
Alright.
Okay,
Yeah, thank you, Sheree.
thank you.
And if you want to just come down and sit through a commissioner's meeting
I
until
think I'll
we
wait
get
till
to it.
next time.
Alright. Thank you, Sheree.
Thank you.
All right, Ann,
Thanks, Ellen.
Yes.
we have the 2021 budget. Do we want to, without Commissioner Albertson here, do you want to carry this over for discussion for tomorrow?
Sure.
That particular one, I think that's because we're gonna be talking assumptions and different things, or,
Well, this one is just going to be the dates. All we do now is appoint the budget officer and approve the calendar that sets those dates.
okay,
So, but yes, we can definitely make sure that those dates,
okay,
um,
all right, I thought maybe we
I'm
had a
hoping
little
you
bit
want,
more
you're
than just
gonna
that.
appoint him budget officer, and that could work. We could have done that.
We could just do that now.
All right, so,
Teasing. Okay, the other topic I have this morning is a supplemental budget for our financial software conversion in the treasurer's office and the business services department, which will actually impact every department in the county. So that notice was advertised in the paper last week. Tomorrow we will open the hearing for public comment. After we receive public comment, we will then, depending on the comments, we have a draft resolution which will do a few things here, so let me talk you through this. We had set aside $60,000 in our general capital projects fund for the technology upgrade. I am anticipating that it's possible we will spend $90,000 this fiscal year to implement and start the transition. We have costs with Tyler Technology. We just paid a little bit of a down payment. As we move, we'll continue to make payments to them. We also have AcTech costs in server upgrades, and they're reminding me, no, server upgrades, some of their time, I think there's other hardware licenses and a SQL server too, right?
SQL licenses.
Okay, so that's where I'm coming up with 90,000. Hope that we don't, and that the budget will be more accurate for next year for the final cost. We had our kickoff meeting with Tyler yesterday, when we told them that July 1st is our fiscal year start, and that would be ideal for us. They said, whoa, that's probably pretty ambitious. So I bet we do not convert until the fall. But I wanted to have the budget prepared for by June 30th, what we could extend. Okay, so the first 60,000 is available through the technology upgrade reserve. The $30,000, I'm proposing that we increase our PILT line item because we received a $30,000 approximately class action settlement on the underfunding of PILT for 3 fiscal years. Commissioner Winters, do you remember that conversation when we joined that lawsuit? Commissioner Williams, were you a part of that conversation? Was it prior to your time?
It was prior.
Okay, so that lawsuit actually finally paid out just, I wanna say, in November. So we do have that money on our books, it's there. And really what that lawsuit was, again, a Utah county, Kane County, I believe, sued, and then it became a class action that the federal government did not meet their obligation and fully fund PILT for several years. And part of it was the sequestration, and they won that lawsuit. And so everybody that signed on board in that class action received some proceeds after lawyer fees and things like that came in. So again, I'm proposing that we incorporate that 30,000 into our budget plus the 60,000 reserve for 90,000 that will show up as 45,000 each of the treasurer and the business services capital software line items for expenditure. Is that appropriate?
For my brain, I'm a little clear as mud right now, I'm trying to read this here.
Okay.
So your transfer 103 capital projects of 30,000 to transfer 103 capital projects. Those are 2 different line items there. That's expenditures, so is that the 60,000 that's the reserve, that's where that's being expended on? Okay, I just gotta follow the budget here. And then the 45,000, 2 times over,
That's the total $90,000
Total.
software expenditure.
total 90. So I thought the 60 was part of the 90, but it's not, so it's a total of $150,000 that's gonna be expended within this year.
No,
Am I
so
not tracking right?
yeah, so the 60,000 from the general capital projects funds adds to the 30,000 PILT class action for 90,000 total.
Yeah, okay,
So
The 60,000 is part of the $90,000
it is.
okay.
So what we're seeing here is general fund total so actually what we're seeing is Fund 103, expenditures in that fund actually stay the same. We're instead of reserving it, we're gonna transfer it out. So that fund stays the same. Once it transfers into general fund and we add the PILT money, general fund increases 90,000.
That,
Okay.
that got me there.
Okay,
That got me there. I
Okay.
was doubling over some numbers here and stuff
Okay.
because of, the expenditures and all this.
You should have just said that to begin with.
yeah.
Well, she had already explained this to me a while back. I just wanted to make sure when I was doing the resolution that I understand.
That's great.
I'm in a position with everything that I see that I can protect general fund contingency because that was my other option was to go to general fund contingency, but since we did receive this class action money and since federal government has moved forward with the PILT, I felt comfortable using that instead of contingency, so.
And I appreciate that very much. I myself individually, I don't like going to the contingency unless it's generally pretty unusual to go there.
We like to use every avenue available to us first.
Yep.
And then that's, well, and it should be kind of your last resort, it's contingency.
So,
Any other questions on that?
no,
I will just, I know you've heard a lot about it, the software, but I think department heads and you gentlemen as well will be very happy with the information available at your fingertips in real time. It's just really exciting for us. I also think it's going to streamline the workflow, hopefully allow for quick, just less time involved in data entry and processing and things like that, but again, better information available.
just a sarcastic remark about Brad. Take a while to train me that negatives are now hard. That the positive actually shows as a positive and negatives show as a negative.
Yeah, that's
That was all.
very, very possible that we will now see a,
I remember that first budget, trying to figure that out, it's like, this isn't making sense to me.
no, how come there, it's all going backwards there, it's all
So
going in the
anyway,
hole.
I think it's overdue, but taking that, is where we're at. I am excited for county operations. So,
Yeah.
looking forward to it.
Okay,
Anything else from you?
that's, well, if you want a quick, I am looking at contingency impacts from potentially the Veteran Services Fund. I'll go ahead and just kind of give you a quick budget update from what I see. Veteran Service Fund, it appears that there might have, well, I think we did. I think we promoted our Veteran Service Officer for the outstanding work he does and somehow got missed in the budget. That fund is small enough that it creates an impact that is over the threshold for just a resolution. So I'll be coming before you with that budget change. What I can see right now will require some general fund contingency. My other two that I'm really watching, and I think everyone knows this, is the landfill and the railroad. The landfill right now, revenues are coming in better than we had anticipated. However, now it's going to really drop off, I think. This is gonna be the slow time of year, and so without any major expense unknowns, they could be quite healthy and not require the general fund dollars that we budgeted, which would be a great thing. Which may open up dollars available, perhaps if the railroad needs support for match dollars and project work before the federal funds actually come in. So, that timeline is still very much up in the air, still a lot of work to be done on the federal notice to proceed. We do have some money from ODOT that will come in and provide some match dollars. When we start incurring costs on the grant, we'll use it as match then. So again, I just wanna give you an update on where I see kind of some budget things that I'm watching, and those two are the biggest ones. Of course, the other one too is probably some union negotiations, so we'll just watch on that too. So.
Real quickly, there was a discussion that I did not catch the entirety of the AOC at the Veterans Committee. I think it was from the Oregon Department of Veteran Affairs, and they were waiting to hear from their PSOs around the state regarding some of their budget issues. And they had not heard from any of them yet, and they seemed to be quite surprised for some strange reason that they had not been kept in the loop on things. So
That really surprises me, because Charlie usually is the first one to call
right.
anybody.
So and apparently none of the counties have reported on something pertaining to their budget yet, which is apparently they have a requirement for it. So they had updated us in our meeting that they plan to reach out to each of the counties individually and find out what was going on. So I figured I might give Charlie and you guys kind of a heads up on that.
So we're required to report to the state quarterly. So we submitted our July, August, September report in October, which shows our budget and how we're spending. Before we can even submit that though, we have to sign the agreement with the state that shows how we're spending dollars.
Bet you this is specific to a certain program.
It might be
Okay.
a specific
Whether or not
program.
we apply for that program or not, I know where it's at.
She was kind of talking to me as if maybe Lake County was. This was Sharon Blassie at ODVA.
That name sounds familiar. I think Charlie speaks with her quite a bit, but
Right.
okay,
So-
we'll follow up.
Anyway, just kind of curious. I don't know if there's anything out of the ordinary at all. We might be up to date perfectly, but just in case, figured I might just throw that out there.
And Charlie's off this week,
Yeah.
so, but he does answer texts and email, give him a heads up if you'd like.
Okay, that sounds very good.
Alright, thank you.
Thank you, Ann.
Thank you.
OLCC permit dinner bell, LLC LLC. These are the same operators that just moved from the Indian Village, we're looking up the dinner bell. Melanie has checked with the sheriff's department, they have no problems. We can get this one off our plate today, I haven't even looked at, did you put on the agenda for tomorrow, Melanie?
No, I put it for action today.
Yeah, it's on action and consideration, yeah.
Alright, so I would entertain a motion.
I make a motion that we approve the liquor license application for the Dinner Bell, the applicant Brittany Severson.
I'll second the motion, motion's been made and seconded to accept the liquor license application for Dinner Bell LLC. There is actually 4 applicants, I think I could.
There are 4
I can
applicants,
take
correct?
off shortly,
Yeah.
short of what you're saying.
Yeah, I was actually reading through them and I was debating whether or not I'd read through all 4 names. But yes, the applicants are Brittany Severson, Joseph Havley, Roger Singleton, and Laurie Singleton.
Any further discussion?
No, sir.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries, that one's done. Liaison update, John, carry that till Commissioner.
Let's carry that over tomorrow. I'll get a better update from him as well. He's back from AOC.
All right, with that, we have nothing further to come before us.